Hi friends, welcome to a liquid bronzer video where I'll compare 3 liquid bronzers that I recently purchased because we are in the liquid bronzer era. Who knows which brand will release another, but I have to say, bronzer in general isn't my favorite. I love blush too. There's something about bronzer that I'm always seeking the best tan effect for my complexion, and I concluded that liquid bronzers are the way to go. As much as I love my powder bronzers, and I have plenty in my collection that imbue that natural tan look on the skin that don't look like powder at all, when it comes to liquid, I think because of the consistency, naturally it will appear more like a tan versus powder makeup on the skin, or versus a blushed look to the skin like powder bronzers can deliver. And what kicked off the liquid bronzer arc was the Glossier Cloud Paint. This is in the shade Swept that will compare to the 2 I have. And then I saw this, the Makeup by Mario Softsculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. I don't usually run to Makeup by Mario. I have a few of his products and I do enjoy them. But when I saw this bronzer serum, I was intrigued, and I do like the concept of relying on a bronzer product that will deliver a soft focus finish, not so much coverage, but would kind of blur imperfections just by the nature of the product. And then I also saw that Saie released a new liquid bronzer product. This is called the Dew Bronze, and I have this in the shade Stinson. When covering the swatches, Stinson is considered to be the medium to deep. Spritz was the prescribed shade for medium. Unfortunately, the Sephora I visited, they didn't have a lot of the shades. I think Stinson was the only one left out of the 6, and Spritz was for medium. And I thought, if I want to have all this liquid bronzer, I might as well purchase a shade that's going to deliver a little more heat, a little more of that tan effect, because I felt when I swatched Spritz in store, it looked similar to the medium shade from the Makeup by Mario. So Stinson's giving us a little bit of a tan, which you will see. I also have the old Saie Sun Melt on standby. This is not discontinued. It is still in the brand, in the lineup, and they did release additional colors, I think sometime last year. I have medium bronze, and this is a cream bronzer as opposed to the liquid bronzer from the Dew Bronze, and we most certainly can compare shades with that. But I wanted to begin by slapping on both the serum or all the liquid bronzers on bare skin, because ultimately that's how I would wear it. But I also want to show you how they appear on foundation, because I don't want any interference from my blemishes, the unevenness of tone. But I also want to see how these bronzers can play a role of a foundation tint type of a thing. I actually want to apply the bronzer serum all over my face. I just want to see what would happen, like if I'm going to look more tan, if I'm going to look crazy, and then maybe the Saie on top. We're going to get all into that, but before we do, it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. Maybe I should brush out these brows. If you're liking what you are seeing so far, I know we barely started, maybe consider liking the video and perhaps subscribing to my channel. I have quite a few videos up in this piece. I think I'm like over 1,000. How many videos do I have on YouTube now? 1.2K videos. You got plenty. Let's apply some product Caramel from their soft matte line. Yes, it usually comes in a lipstick bullet, but my lipstick bullet broke. But I just want to put on a little bit of a tint there. Applying some CeraVe moisturizer. I always say this in my complexion videos just to give context. I don't have a dedicated skincare routine for the last, or I didn't have one for the last 9 months. I am applying skincare now. I usually do before makeup, but when all is said and done, I will also remove not only the makeup, but the moisturizer, and just slap on a little bit of Vaseline. That has been my routine. So if you hear me say I don't use skincare, but then you see me obviously apply moisturizer, is yes, because I do rely on it for makeup prep, but I don't rely on it for morning and evening routine-ness things. We got a little moisture on the skin, so this is what's happening. I do have blemishes here by my own doing. I'm trying to get better at just not squeezing the blemishes, Purging is a vice of mine. It's like we have so many vices that when we get rid of one, it doesn't disappear. It just kind of moves to the other. It finds itself somewhere else. So I'm great with my exercise and I'm great with my nutrition, but when it comes to the picking, my goodness. Let's start with the Makeup by Mario first, and bear with me as I pull up Sephora to have these shade descriptions. Again, I have the shade medium. It's a natural skin-like finish for medium skin tones. Now, what's neat about the Softsculpt is that it doubles as a pump, as you see here, but you could also use the doe foot. I think that's quite clever, an advantage that this product has over the ones in front of me. So again, this is the Makeup by Mario medium shade, and it says just medium skin tones, not completely neutral. It is on the warm side, and you can see how lightweight it is. It almost has like a translucent quality about it, and I posted this on my IG stories, and it does have that serum feel on the skin. It's almost cooling. There's no type of ingredient in there that cools the skin, like that tingly feeling. Is just, I think the nature of the product and how lightweight it is feels like that upon application. Next we have the Saie, and again I have the shade Stinson, which, excuse me, it's deep to rich. I could get away with deep to rich because, again, depending on how much you apply. Spritz is the light to medium to tan, or excuse me, light medium to tan with red undertones. Stinson is deep to rich with warm undertones. And here is Stinson next to the Makeup by Mario. And I know this looks intense, 100%. And you're like, excuse me. You could also see that it's a little tighter. It's creamier than the Makeup by Mario. Makeup by Mario, definitely more of a serum-like consistency. And the Saie definitely is a tighter cream, but it's also soft. I applied this yesterday to try it out. And since we're already on the Saie page, let's go to the Sunmelt product page and look at this medium bronze. The shade that I have here is currently sold out. Warm golden shade for light to medium skin tones compared to Stinson. That likens to the Makeup by Mario, right, in terms of tone and all that stuff. So this is going to be more of like my skin, but a little bit of tan, and Stinson's giving me tan. And the last liquid bronzer I have on deck is the Glossier Cloud Paint, specifically the Cloud Paint Gel Cream Bronzer. I have the shade Swept, and that is a medium neutral tan. It comes in this squeeze tube, and definitely takes on more of a gel cream consistency. So this kind of sits between the Makeup by Mario and the Saie. And comparatively, actually, the Cloud Paint, it does look muddy in comparison to the others, 100%, because this looks a little more neutral, especially compared to Stinson and even to the Makeup by Mario. So that's interesting. If you want to see how Makeup by Mario appears just on bare skin, I'll do one side bare skin and the other side makeup. How does that sound? And for my foundation of choice, I will use, well, do I want to use my Suku? I guess why not, because realistically, that is the foundation I would use if I were to apply any of these liquid bronzers on my skin. But I don't use a ton. I've been economical about my foundation application as of late because I find working it from the back of your hand into the brush is quite helpful. And yes, you see correctly, this is the second iteration of our Refer foundation brush. The first one you can check out on a video that I will link down below. I wasn't crazy about it. They went back to the drawing board and returned with this. And don't you worry, I will film a dedicated video checking out the new iterations, the new prototypes for the Refer synthetic line, both the foundation brush and the concealer brush, which is much better than you'll see the comparisons. But yes, this is if you were wondering, these are what those are. Just taking leftover here foundation and sweeping it under my eyes. I think it is so essential to prep your foundation well and just get it evenly distributed in the brush and just work it in this way, because the laydown is just phenomenal. And that's exactly what I did yesterday. I like using the pump. I know it's tempting to dot it on the skin, but we'll pump the Softsculpt first, and I'll work it in the same way, and I'll take it on the bare side first, so you can just see how that looks on bare skin and what effect it has, right? Even though you can still see my blemishes through the bronzing serum, I still feel the bronzing serum just kind of blurs the imperfections a little bit, and it draws the attention to the fact that I appear a little tan and lessens the look of my hyperpigmentation. Now, what I can do is take a little bit of my foundation and just tackle those spots, not just by applying a bunch of foundation, but just lessening the intensity of the hyperpigmentation. And this is how the Softsculpt looks. The undertone is lovely, but the blend is sensational. It sinks into the skin, and because of its serum-like quality in terms of the formula, it leaves behind luminosity here on the cheekbones and lower here on the apples of the cheeks. I feel it does have a soft focus effect on the skin, where it's not completely eliminating imperfections on the skin, but I do feel it helps even out, especially if you do experience unevenness here on this part of your face. When I used this yesterday, I actually was baffled. I'm like, wow, this is a sensational product. The ease of blend, you can't mess this up. You can't mess this up because the pigment also is not in your face, because you can control the level of color intensity by layering it, but because it is so lightweight from the get, it's not going to appear heavy on the skin. So that's how the Softsculpt looks like on bare skin with blemishes as they are. Now, if we wanted to apply this on foundation skin, and I'll be happy to now go ahead and dot this in a way that I applied this on the other side, but just so you can see how seamlessly this sinks into the skin. Just with a couple of pounces, the serum virtually melts. It doesn't appear splotchy, it doesn't pick up the foundation, it just blends where it's at. So whether you pump it first or you dot it on, this is the effect that you will get. Now, personally, I much rather prep it first. That's my preference. I think regardless of how beautifully this performs when you dot it directly on your skin, whether on your skin or on foundation, I do feel prepping the brush first on the back of your hand with product yields the best application. And not too bad. I mean, you can still see my blemishes even through the foundation, but because I have more here, maybe the foundation would have appeared more impactful on this side. But I like the Softsculpt a lot. So again, this is on bare skin. This is on foundation, head on, just so you can see that overall tan effect on the skin. And I think a great opportunity. This is where I feel something like the Dior Glow Maximizers come in clutch, because you don't necessarily need to apply a blush, but if you want a little bit of blush and highlight, this is the perfect product, I feel, to pair with something like the Softsculpt, right? Because it's going to give you a little bit of that blushed effect, but amplify the highlight effect, since the Glow Maximizers leave behind a little bit of that pearl finish, but that glow and luminosity you get from the Softsculpt plus from the Glow Maximizer. Look at me. Look at me. I'm giving you summer complexion. But this is what I want to do. I just wanted to show you the maximizers. Okay, that we saw the maximizer in action. Let's take this off, reapply my CeraVe. And if you're wondering if I ever get back to a dedicated morning and evening skincare routine, I'm just going to get CeraVe. I'm convinced that spending more money on skincare just doesn't make any sense at this point. These claims that brands make about certain ingredients and blah blah blah, like the skin's not it's not getting through. If you want the antioxidant benefit from the acai whatever, it's best that you just eat the acai and get the antioxidants from the inside, okay? But from the outside, I don't know, man. I think you're wasting your time and your money. But that's just my opinion. Who am I? Let's see how the serum looks if I apply this just as a skincare serum. I'm just gonna take it all over. Oh my goodness. It does feel a little scary at first, but I just wonder, is it gonna give me like, yeah, I think it's a little too warm. Well, maybe if I just use this as the first base before foundation. I do look a little tan. And it feels good on the skin, actually. I wonder, however, let me just go in a little bit with the Suku foundation, just on spots that need the most coverage. Oh, I picked up a little bit of the Glow Maximizer. Oops! Let's start with a fresh canvas, shall we? Picking up a little bit of the foundation, pouncing it on the spots that need a little more evening of tone to not completely cover the serum. Not too bad. This might appear differently while I'm editing because the viewfinder tends to appear just more exposed than I think what it actually will appear like on the actual footage. But I just wanted to experiment with the versatility of the serum, seeing its capacity that not only can you apply it in acute areas, pinpointed areas, that if you just wanted a more tan effect all over, you can just slap it on the entire face or mix it with foundation too. Like I could have probably have mixed it with my Suku foundation, probably appear a little too light for the season. So this, I think, is a great adjuster. Yes, to add the bronze effect, the tan effect, but also to adjust the shade of my Suku. I was just curious as to how it would look like, but the texture is lovely. I loved how it blended into the skin. It doesn't have a strange smell. I kind of detect, it was a strange smell I detected from the foundation. That's why I didn't buy it, but I tried a sample. It's okay. It kind of just smells like product. You know what I mean? Suku does a phenomenal job, not only their complexion products, but their cheek products as well, the cream liquid type, to not have any detectable fragrance. But the Makeup by Mario, I smell that there's product on my skin, but it doesn't smell like the Dior Star Filter or the Glow Maximizer. Does that make any sense? But not bad though. I'm giving tan. It's giving tan, and we like it. And this is the difference when I wipe it off. You see this, I look, there's a little more heat, you know, a little more warmth on that side. Now off to the Saie. Should I do a foundation side again, just so you can see the I was gonna go straight to my old ways to see how it appears on a little more of an even skin tone. I know I should have applied the foundation on this side because this is where I have the most hyperpigmentation, but just to be consistent with the still shots, I will stick to this side. I'm so sorry, I didn't think this through well enough, but I think it'll be okay. All right, foundation is on, and I do like to prepare the Saie Dew Bronze as well in the same fashion I did with the Softsculpt. So we'll place it here, and this is the consistency, right? It's a little tighter than the Makeup by Mario. And just to switch it up, I'll use my Mizuho CMP 510 to just make sure the product distribution is even, and then I will take that on to the face. And you can see it, you know, it looks intense initially, but the way it applies and blends, it just kind of, it dilutes itself in a way, which is, I think, important if you're my skin tone, but you want it Stinson. I think the best approach is to prep it first, because you will get a heartier serving of color if you apply Stinson directly on your cheeks, 100%. In this way, you can control the color intensity and dilute it if you needed to with the foundation or a skin tint maybe, just to bring it down a little bit. But you can see that at least behind a similar finish to the Makeup by Mario, I think it is a little more color heavy in that department, but the finish is similar. Luminous on the cheekbones, it definitely has that glow about it, and beautiful consistency as well. It appears like I have a harder tan than I got from the Makeup by Mario for sure. And on this side, I will dot. Stinson looks a lot more intense on the initial application. But just so you can see how easy it is to blend if you decide to apply in this way. But because of that, like I had said before, if you want the most color payoff, applying it directly on your skin will deliver that. If you want a little less, definitely prep it on the back of your hand first. And you can see that this looks a little more intense than this side. And because, again, I am the complexion shade that's not necessarily for Stinson, I get it. I still wanted to buy it and make this comparison video. I didn't want to order it. I just bought what was available. If you are my complexion and maybe, yes, medium is the best match for you, but you wanted a little more heat from the Dew Bronze and you decide to go with Stinson, I would apply Stinson on the back of my hand first. Because if you apply it directly on your skin, sure, you can dot on less, 100%, because as you saw, the Dew Bronze travels well, is fluid. If you needed to just apply it here, once you blend it, it will move with the brush. It won't appear concentrated on one part of your face. You know what I mean? And if you feel like you need less, just have your foundation on standby, and you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. It's just enough. And to mix it with the leftover, in frame please, leftover say you might have on the back of hand or palette, right? If you decide to use a palette, and just pounce around the edges. And that's gonna take down the Dew Bronze a little bit and maybe just lessen the color intensity so it can appear a little more natural for your skin tone. Again, if you are around my shade and you were eyeing Stinson because you prefer that undertone over the spritz undertone, which when I initially swatched it in store, it reminded me of the cloud paint. It was giving me this. And I do like, sorry, that was from placing my hand on the chair and forgetting that has swatches on my arm. And if you wanted that more warm red undertone from your cream bronzer product, it's specifically the Saie, then I would get Stinson. All right, we have Stinson on this side, no makeup, bare skin. Stinson on this side with makeup and a little more color intensity. And of course, we have to go in with a little bit of Mother's legendary Divine Glow Color Balm, and yes, I did see the House Labs. I would like to get the hibiscus something because I am curious and want to compare the two. I think it'll be an interesting video, and again, I'm not going to get 10 shades. I just want to get the ones that I find are most interesting to me. This is Peach Lotus, by the way. Make a comparison if you're wondering the same. I have not yet purchased any of the new legendary Color Balm shades. I have my eye on Alluring Nude still. I know. You know what I kind of want to do? I want to apply Bellini on top of Peach Lotus. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I also swatched Danessa's Lowlights. They're interesting. I feel though, just from the swatch itself, because it is a drier product, it's on purpose. Since Danessa wanted to develop something, a highlighter product that blurs imperfections on the skin, because highlight usually enhances it. But this is supposed to be more of a soft blurring effect because it is from the Yummy Skin line, but it's a highlight product. Oh, that's pretty. Combining both Bellini and Peach Lotus, I'm just everywhere. We got to do over the nose. You know what I mean? Because it has to be complete. Oh my God, dry skin on the nose. Thank goodness I feel allergy season, for me, I won't speak for everyone, is finally tapering off. I could breathe in and out through my nose while on walks now. Before it was like, I could also sleep better at night. So we're on the up. I went a little crazy. I most certainly did. But it's okay. You know what I mean? Do I want to do this freckle thing? I know this isn't the ideal product to use. There is like dedicated freckle markers out there, but this is the only thing I got right now, and I'm just curious to see what, like this blush thing that we're doing, what is happening. It doesn't look as natural, I think, as a pen would. Maybe because I'm not diversifying the circle sizes enough. All in all, I do adore all these cheek products together, for sure. I think they're meant to be used together, especially if you have all of them. Nice to experiment and to cocktail. But if you do something that you don't particularly like, you know what you can do? You can just erase it like I am now. The freckle thing was okay. I think I just had too much of a blush thing going on. But you can see just how beautifully well these liquid bronzer products work in enhancing just that luminosity on your skin. And again, we are approaching practically in the summer season. Some people want this effect, this more dewy effect, but others are like matte all day, every day. Don't care if it's August. I get that as well, which is a point I should bring up. If you like the matte look, I don't know if you're gonna like these liquid bronzers, because from what I've already tried, they do all leave behind, if anything, a natural finish on the skin. You will still have to powder or apply something on top if you want it to appear more matte, but if you're dry, it might just appear soft matte by default because you're already on a drier skin condition tier. And when you apply that on, especially if you don't apply a dedicated prep product to your skin before applying any of these liquid bronzers, the liquid bronzer itself is going to give your skin a little bit of a zhuzh. Now we have arrived at the final round, applying the cloud paint. Now we've already seen the cloud paint in action when I showed it on my Sephora Spring Savings Event video. But now that we have these two additional liquid bronzer products, I think it interesting to get the still shots and compare what the cloud paint looks like to the Softsculpt and the Dew Bronze. I suspect it's going to appear a little more neutral. It won't appear as warm, I feel. Foundation is on. For foundation side, let's go in with the cloud paint. Now, because it's in a tube, this is what the advantage I feel both the Makeup by Mario and Saie have over the Glossier. Where the Makeup by Mario, you have two modes of application, through pump or doe foot. The Saie, you have the doe foot. This, you either squeeze directly on your cheeks, which I have done before, actually. I don't have a problem doing that. But if you do, you will have to prep it first. So this is the bare skin side, and I think you can already tell this has more of a neutral tinge to it. Isn't that interesting? I like it though. I can't deny that this shade ain't bad. It kind of reminds me of what Natasha's Tan Bronzing Glow Powder is giving, that more tawny effect. It does appear muddy in undertone in swatch compared to the other shades, but on the skin, I feel it doesn't look too bad. And applying this in the same manner on our foundation side, so maybe you can better detect the color. Yeah, Stinson definitely has a lot more red, and Makeup by Mario is more like a yellow orange. Am I totally off base with that evaluation? Let me know down below if I am. I have to say the Glossier Cloud Paint is like the most subdued out of all of them. And I do like the undertone. I know it doesn't look as great here in a swatch because this is giving the impression that both this Makeup by Mario and the Saie is going to be more tan of effect. Yes, and Cloud Paint I feel does give me a tan effect as well, albeit a little more tawny and not as red. So if you're my skin tone and you're not crazy about red undertone bronzers, but you needed a bronze and you're more neutral like I am, probably the Glossier is going to be your best bet. I do like the warmth quality of the Softsculpt, and I actually, when I applied this yesterday, I did enjoy how it appeared more on the center of my face, right? Because it's such a lightweight product, it doesn't appear too bronzer heavy. I think it lends really nice coloring to the skin, and if you wanted something warmer on your cheeks and you didn't want the cloud paint to travel all the way down, if you felt that cloud paint on the apples of your cheeks versus the hollows would appear muddy because of the placement, then you can use just a different undertone of bronzer, and you don't have to get three like I did. You can rely on maybe a powder bronzer or just another blush to place that color here on the apples of your cheeks. But if you have all the liquid bronzers like I do now, then play with the placement and maybe create like that bronzer gradient, if you will. in the case of the Saie, I would then apply, say, more into the hollows, because this is a completely different undertone, and that might be a little too heavy, I think, because see how this looks tawny already? And just as an experiment, I have Stinson here very lightly into the hollows. Not too bad, but we're getting into muddy territory. I think, you know, for the sake of using two products, it's not worth it. It's either for me the Saie or the cloud paint, depending on how I want my complexion to appear like. If one day I want it to appear more tawny bronze, and then the other day if I want it to be more red bronze, I'll go for the Saie. Me personally, I wouldn't combine the two, because I think that's just too much coloring here for me on the hollows of the cheeks. And, you know, I could control the intensity of it by not applying as much, but if I wanted to add more color, I would just go in with a different product altogether. Like for instance, I have Fleurotique, and I'll just pounce that more on the center of my face with the cloud paint. And I think that's pretty, because Fleurotique is cooler than Peach Lotus and Sun Kissed Seduction, and I think that pairs nicely with cloud paint. And a reason why I love these balms, because they're a little more translucent than, let's say, the blurring balm flushed from Danessa. You can layer these successfully, and whatever you apply underneath is going to show through a little bit, so you can see how the Makeup by Mario warmed up Fleurotique significantly, right? But it doesn't look too color heavy. It just looks real shiny. Look at the shine in these cheeks. My goodness, we're getting crazy. What if I added powder foundation on top? Is that gonna like dive down the color a little bit, the shine? A little bit, not too much. Not too much. I would probably, hold on. I'm going in with Hourglass's Luminous Light. This is a finishing powder, I think more appropriate to use. Yes, there we go. If you're not crazy about how much dew is left behind when applying these products, you still want to use it because you enjoy the texture, but you just need a little less. Going in with a finishing powder, I think best to dial down the dewiness and the glow, but still have luminosity and that soft focus finish left behind, right? Putting on a little bit of our lip wrapping treatment from Suku. Again, this is in the shade 04, Terracotta. Oh, well, that was a lot of fun. In conclusion, I enjoy all three, but you could clearly see each delivers a slightly different experience. The Makeup by Mario, I think, is the lightest consistency. I would argue even lighter than the cloud paint. Both the cloud paint and the dew bronze have a little more color intensity to them. All lightweight, but this is going to be your least color intense, which also lends the possibility for choosing your appropriate color intensity in terms of the blending. Exceptional. I mean, I couldn't have asked for an easier liquid bronzer product to use. Whether you pump it out or you dot it on directly on your skin, it virtually melts. I actually love this on bare skin. I wore it yesterday, applied it yesterday on bare skin, and I thoroughly enjoyed how it appeared, even with my hyperpigmentation. It just softened the overall look of them, and it just evened out my skin tone with that bronzing color. As for the Saie, I enjoy Stinson on my skin tone. Again, I rather apply it on the back of my hand just to control the color intensity a bit, and it does offer, I think, a little more color than the Softsculpt does from the first application. If you choose to buy Stinson and you're my complexion, definitely prep it first, or if you decide to dot it on your face, don't dot as much. Start very little, maybe higher on the cheekbones so it has somewhere to go, and the color spread will naturally dilute the overall intensity of the shade, as opposed to you dotting 10, then it's gonna look a little crazy, because Fritz is the one that is prescribed for me per se recommendations, but I was impatient and just wanted to buy Stinson, more so to compare the consistency overall to the Makeup by Mario Softsculpt. And with the Glossier Cloud Paint, I think the most obvious distinction is the undertone. This is going to be more tawny neutral on me, as opposed to the Saie and the Softsculpt. You could even see, well, obviously not from the bottle, but from the swatches we did earlier, you can see those differing undertones and how they all appear on my complexion. In terms of the blend, Glossier is phenomenal, and I had said that back when trying it for the first time in my Sephora sale video and using it several times after that. I do think I have to be a little more strategic with what I decide to pair with the Glossier, because if it's more tawny undertone, if I'm not careful and apply too much, it could appear a little muddy on my skin tone. But in terms of the consistency in the blend, exceptional. I think it's a fantastic product. Again, it's more so what your preference is for undertone. If you like warmer, I think the Makeup by Mario medium does lend itself to be a little warmer undertone in general for my skin tone. The Stinson is appearing a little more red. Spritz might appear, just from what I swatched in store, from what I remember, I think it's closer to the Glossier Cloud Paint, if I'm not mistaken, which is leaning a little more neutral undertone from what I recall. But that is it, family. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by the Makeup by Mario and by the Saie, and I am looking forward to cocktailing all these liquid bronzers now and combining it with the several cheek products that I have, especially the Dior Glow Maximizers, Danessa's Blurring Balm Flush products, Mother's Legendary Color Balm, and now the upcoming Color Fuse House Labs Balm Blush, or whatever they call it. I gotta say though, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, excuse me, if you have to go, I'll see you later. Despite our disappointment in seeing Pat's brand change in terms of the packaging compared to how it started and where it is now, I still feel her formulas are quite unique, because the glow sticks, even though some people didn't like it, I immediately recognize how unique this product is and how it comes in clutch when it comes to layering product for it to still have that glass skin effect, which is what the point is with the color balm, since Mother loves the glass skin effect on the runway. She wanted to deliver that same effect in a product, and I think she absolutely did. Also combining, again, the skincare with makeup and the Legendary Color Balm, apparently including all these good for you ingredients that not only are you going to get the color payoff and the glassy skin look, but you're also going to get some hydration and all these things, which I'm not convinced by 100%, but I recognize how the balm stick, I think when applied appropriately and with the right tool and with other cheek products that are harmonious with the balm, you get beautiful skin, glass skin effect, 100%. With the color richness that's not too heavy, it's not the same thing as a straightforward cream blush. You just get that dew luminosity without it being sticky. So we'll see. I'm excited to compare the two because I don't have a product like the color balm. All that to say, happy I was able to film this video, and hopefully it is helpful to you, especially if you are my shade twin and you had your eye on these products. Again, this is not to make you buy anything. I know I influence. If these products happen to be on your radar, but you needed a little more information in terms of the application, the consistency, the undertone, the performance, all those details, hopefully I covered them to the best of my ability. I will see you down in those comments, fam. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, bronzer extravaganza, or a full-on cheek video. The cheeks here, going through my recent favorites and combining all of them on my face. Take care, and I will see you again soon.